It's not a bird, it's not a plane, it's Superhero Slate. It's a modern podcast where we talk about everything that's great, like movies, TV, superheroes. It's Superhero Slate. Oh yeah.
Hello everyone and welcome to Superhero Slate, the show where we run down the latest superhero entertainment news.
We love TV, movies, and superheroes, so let's talk it all out.
My name is Chris.
And my name's Mike.
And this week we have a trailer for Star Wars Tales of the Empire. Which
Chris will explain to me.
Yes,
what
we will explain it. I didn't expect this. This was kind of out of the blue, which is great. I love a surprise drop, Mike, rather than like, oh, it's going to come out in like 3 weeks. So awesome for that. Daredevil photos confirm Jon Bernthal's Punisher. I know we've talked about it before, but they're officially dropping some photos, Mike. So we'll dive into some of these official things and some more returning characters in Daredevil. DC movies are now on Disney Plus. No April Fools, and more.
So strange. When you told me that, I ran to my Disney Plus app, and I was like, no, he's got to be like talking about maybe some sort of region outside of like North America where, you know, the streaming deals are like really weird and different. And I was like, no, there it is. Wonder Woman looking right at me on this newly branded Disney Plus app is very strange.
Yeah.
Very odd.
They, absolutely. They, again, I think that news dropped on April 1st, which was on Monday, which is notoriously the worst day for internet news, by the way. Mm-hmm. So like you have to take everything with a huge grain of salt. Just take the lid off the salt shaker. And I was like, is this real? And then Mike was like, so you literally sent me a screenshot. I'm like, good.
like everything corporate America has kind of ruined all the internet fun of April Fool's Day. Like it was cool like 10 years ago, which kind of felt like to me it was just the other year that they were making fun stuff for us to enjoy on the internet for fools. But it's no like it's like a restaurant, like a Burger King or something. It's just like, oh, we're making this crazy product. We're happy. And it's just like, no one thinks you're making this burger. No one cares. Like, shut up.
So, yeah, if everyone didn't do it. So the one, I will say, when I saw IGN did a Nintendo's Switch was releasing a Virtual Boy.
I saw that was actually good. IGN usually attempts to do something.
And it was funny because I've just got a Virtual Boy in the past few months, and I was like, this sounds right because they had the Nintendo Labo, right, with the VR headset for it. I'm like, man, this is a little too close to home. But then they started doing like it like on the when you watch it looks like an Apple Pro screen with the VR. I'm like, oh, there's no camera on a Switch, so they got me good.
Well, I also like too that it's technically plausible, right? Like if anyone had used some of those early gen like cell phone VR glasses where it kind of splits the video and it puts two lenses like literally in a cardboard box in front of it, like you could theoretically make this with the Switch.
No, they do. They literally have that with the Nintendo Labo. It's a cardboard VR thing for it.
Oh, I didn't know they actually ended up making one that put it on your face.
Yep, there is one that is VR, but it is very limited when it does. So, but
gotcha. But
absolutely. And I will say the one thing we ordered out dinner on Monday from, I believe it was Panera, and I got I think my wife got mac and cheese from Panera, but they served it in a Chick-fil-A cup and wrote April Fools on the cup when she got it.
That's pretty. I feel like maybe is that like a fun, just like local like franchise move? Like, oh, corporate didn't tell us to do it. They'd probably hate it if we did it, you know?
Right. They found out we probably get in trouble. But yeah, because the Chick-fil-A's across the street from it. So I thought that was very entertaining. I'm like, oh, this is cool. Someone's having fun today with it. They're not hurting anybody with that April Fool stuff.
Well, Chris, speaking of locally, I was actually going to ask you this, but I was like, I'll ask him on the show. Are you in the path of totality? If you are outside of the United States, there is a total solar eclipse coming in like 48 hours, I think.
Less than
maybe
24.
Almost,
it's 3 p.m. tomorrow, my time. 18
hours. I thought it was Tuesday. Okay, yeah. Wow. We are definitely in the countdown stage, like Zelda, Majora's Mask, the moon, just impending to destroy us all. Yeah, I was watching a couple videos this weekend about it. Like, I've seen like solar eclipses in my lifetime, and they're cool. But I guess this one's kind of a bigger deal because the path of totality, or the area in which you can see the full eclipse is actually fairly large and spanning a large swath of population. So actually a lot of people in the United States are going to get a chance to see this.
Yeah.
You're kind of close to it, right?
We are 99%. My hometown I grew up in is 100%. Indianapolis is 100% in Indiana. Most of Indiana is, but we are 99% here tomorrow. So I'll probably pop out around 2:50, 2:45 or so, stare at the sun for a little bit and see how it goes.
Yeah, is this the PSA moment of the podcast where we should tell people not to look at the eclipse with the naked eye?
Yeah.
There's this like 70-year-old woman that keeps showing up in like local news reports the last week of like, this woman looked at a total solar eclipse in the 70s and now she's like partially blind, and she like, you know,
yes, she's 85 plus. So you know that happens when you get. I'm probably gonna try to look for like maybe like a live stream or like a post recap as well, when they have like, you know, the cameras that are like can do this kind of stuff too.
Yeah,
I think that would be interesting.
I think you're kind of right. I feel like most like natural phenomenon, like, oh, there's going to be like a blood moon tonight or a harvest moon, or you're going to be able to see this planet with the naked eye. And then every time I go outside and try to see it, I don't know where it is. I don't know where to look, or there's like a building in my way and I can't even really look at it. And then I just end up finding like a professional on like Instagram that set up all of the right, you know, UV filters and everything, and took the best shot. So I was like, I'll just wait for the hashtag to blow up tomorrow.
Yeah, it's gonna be again after 3 o'clock here, you know, around noon for you. It's gonna be just everything, every social media thing, the jokes, the memes, everything will be covered. So it'll be interesting for that. But yeah, I'm excited to see what it. The 99% is pretty good without really having to leave my house.
Yeah.
Right. So we have like 4 bridges that go from Indiana to Kentucky, and I can guarantee you the traffic tomorrow would be a nightmare no matter where you go. So you know me, I'm not in the crowds, Mike. I'm not into it. In that regard. Man, there's something else I was going to say with that. I don't remember what it was. But anyway, so we'll jump into what we've been doing. So you got to watch some stuff this weekend, a show and a movie. And I feel what you're going to say about the second one is not good, but let's go ahead and jump into the first one.
Yeah, so we'll start with the good one. I won't spoil anything about it because I know it's relatively new, but The 3 Body Problem on Netflix hit about a week ago, and my wife and I just finished it up this weekend. If you're unfamiliar with it, like I was before it came out, it's based on a science fiction book series, which I had to look up afterwards to see that it's a 3-book series. And I think the first season of the show, it seems to roughly follow the first book. So I'm anticipating 3 seasons, which kind of fits perfectly with what Netflix likes to do anyway, with 3 seasons of a TV show. But anyway, this book is being adapted by the Game of Thrones guys. So they are taking a story that hopefully is complete, and we won't have to worry about a Game of Thrones situation where, you know, kind of scrambling to figure out, oh, how are we going to end this television show? So it seems like we have a full narrative here to adapt. But the show is really, really fun and exciting to me. I believe the book was written by a scientist. I don't know if they were like a physicist, an astronomer, or what the deal was, but they get really nitty gritty into the science and problem solving. And it scratches the same part of a brain, Chris, that like, you know, when you're watching a heist movie, and there's that whole segment of the movie where the characters are getting together trying to figure out what they're going to do. Oh, how are we going to get into the vault? Who are we going to put where? How are we going to plan this out? What are these things that we need to do? There's a lot of that kind of stuff happening in this show, and it's extremely satisfying because they're dealing with these really high concept, theoretically possible, like science fiction-y things. And it's really, really cool. But I do have to say, we almost didn't get back into it. We watched about like 2 or 3 episodes, and I was like, okay, there's some stuff happening here. This is kind of interesting, but I haven't really been hooked yet. Like, I feel like the teeth haven't sunk in, and I could easily just abandon this and go on to watch something else. But I kept seeing, I guess, to Netflix's social team's credit, they kept tweeting and retweeting or posting or Instagram storying like people's reactions to like the 5th episode. They're like, oh my God, this 5th episode, this is crazy. I'm never going to forget it or something like that. So I was like, all right, I'll stick around at least to see what happens in this 5th episode out of a total of 8 episodes. So we watched episode 5, and that's where kind of like everything opens up. It's kind of like a combination of what the end of a pilot episode of a television show does and what the season finale of a TV show does. Where like you finally get the twist, the hook, the direction, the trajectory for the show and the series. It like all blows up in episode 5, and it's like, whoa, this is really, really crazy. They answer like a lot of questions that you've been trying to figure out. So I don't want to spoil anything. I don't even really want to bring up the subject matter all that much because it's just kind of fun learning it along the way, kind of how the characters in the TV show are doing.
It has the guy who voices the Watcher, right?
I don't think Jeffrey Wright's in it. No.
Okay. I keep seeing him in photos on the news things, and I was like, "Is he?"
You maybe you're getting because there is a little bit of Marvel crossover. It has
Wong.
Is it Benedict Wong?
Yeah.
He's in it. He kind of plays like this kind of like private detective or something along those lines, and he's really, really good in it. I love his characterization. Well, there's a lot of
the internet has lied to me.
Alum in it.
The internet has lied to me through and through. So absolutely.
Unless he's possibly doing the voice of something that is not attached to a face, maybe. But I didn't see Jeffrey Wright in it anywhere. But yeah, there's so many fun concepts happening in here. There's like these like quantum physics comes up a lot. It's just really, really fun. It's dire at moments, but if the really crappy adaptation of Avatar: The Last Airbender, I guess I should maybe be a little bit more tame. I mean,
it's not. I wouldn't say it's crappy. It's just not for Mike. It's not a Mike adaptation.
Not for me. Yeah. If that can get 3 seasons, I hope they end up making more 3 Body Problem. But yeah, the wife and I are hooked. It was really exciting. It was really fun to watch. So obviously, I assume the best thing to do after binging a season of a show I really, really liked was to self-harm myself by watching a show. A movie which I had very easily avoided. I never felt like I had the desire to watch it, but
there's a reason for that.
The wife was out last night, so I was just left to my own devices, and I don't know why I decided to do this to myself, but I watched Argyle, which was the is it Matthew Vaughn, right? Am I getting the director right?
Matthew Vaughn, and it was an Apple TV release. No, not an Apple TV, but an Apple TV theatrical release.
Yeah, I believe it came out in theaters, so I remember.
It did.
Yeah.
No, it did. I'm just saying Apple TV was the production company.
Yeah. So I watched this, and okay, it's not a dumpster fire. I'm coming at it maybe a little too hot. It's not like the worst movie I've ever seen. It's just exactly what happens when a streamer gives an accomplished director a lot of money and no restrictions. Like, this is what they make. Like, I haven't seen The Gray Man, but I feel like this is kind of like in the same category as The Gray Man. And it's just all over the place. Like, one thing that really kind of stuck out to me was visual effect shots that just straight up didn't need to be in the movie. I'm not even talking about like, oh, well, they should have gone out of their way and done this all practically. I'm saying there's like little simple moments where like a character puts on like spy glasses to like scan documents. And instead of just like letting the audience use their own intelligence and assume that's what they're doing, or maybe even just put like a little tiny blipping light on the glasses, there's like a whole cutaway where they're close in on Bryan Cranston's face, and there's like these scanning motions going across the lenses, and it wipes to a giant monitor where it shows all the letters and stuff popping up on screen. It's just like, okay, it's like, it's very a maximalist approach to like a spy thriller. I mean, the performances are good. Like Bryce Dallas Howard, her character's like kind of fun. Sam Rockwell is great in everything that he's in. So that kind of goes without saying, but man, the story goes all over the place. The twists and turns, they weren't super exciting for me. Some of them were really predictable. Some pretty cheesy dialogue on occasion, and it was just like somebody needs to really rein in Vaughn and like just.
Well, so I would also
tighten this all up.
I would also blame the writer. He didn't write it. Like Jason Fuchs, I believe, wrote it. He wrote Ice Age Continental Drift, Mike, and the story of Wonder Woman 2017. So I would say probably yes him, but also like you probably have a non-functional duo at the heart of this film somewhere along the way. So
Yeah, maybe. I don't know if they're connected in some way at all, but Matthew Vaughn is definitely like the spear, the tip of the spear. I'm sure he could have made decisions if he wanted
the
to.
writer was is the producer, so maybe not. I don't know.
I guess we'll never quite know, but I think
I've not
this
heard good.
one's,
I've not heard good things. That like I haven't watched this, but everyone was like, "No, this is not a good movie," despite having a stacked cast, if you will. At the end of the day.
Yeah, it's a pretty easy skip, and like also like the cast is like, it's kind of it's a little bit of a bait and switch because there's kind of like false memories, or if you've kind of seen the trailer, like it's kind of about like a writer, so there's kind of like that stranger than fiction vibe to it, where sometimes you'll like cut away to the story that's in the book. So it's like, okay, these characters like they're not really in the movie. They're just like the personification of a character in the book. And then there's like this crazy moment at the end of the movie where like a character comes back from the dead and everyone's like, "Oh, whoa, you're still alive. What a twist." But like we never really get to meet the character anywhere in the movie. So it's like everyone is excited to see this character that the audience never really got to meet. So and I'm supposed to care.
Like Rebel Moon. like every character in Rebel Moon.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I know when the movie came out, I saw some people online that are just like, "Oh, it's fun, don't take it too seriously." But I'm just like, this is Apple Plus money. This is an accomplished director. This is a stacked cast. Like, it's like you couldn't have just like maybe like taken it a little bit more seriously. You could have possibly made like a cult classic. And instead, like, no one's really.
It feels like someone's trying to play catch up, like Apple's trying to play catch up to like Glass Onion and those films, right? Like
it kind of feels like that.
Like there's some big twist coming, but from what I've heard, the twists never stop happening, and then you just get tired of them because you're like, oh, there's too many of these along the way.
Yeah, like it's like kind of like twist fatigue. Like I'm sure the pitch to the studio was just like, oh, the audience at the end, they're not going to know who to trust. But actually it ends up backfiring and you just end up not knowing who you're supposed to care about. Which is like, oh, they're like a bad guy now? Like, well, that's kind of shitty. But then they end up being like a good guy again. But then like, oh, they were always bad. And it's just like, I don't care anymore. Like, I don't care. Just, I got to about 2/3 through this movie. And then I finally succumbed to the fast forward button. And I was like, okay, fast forward. Okay, there's kind of like a fun Matthew Vaughn, like action style scene here. Okay, I'll stop for a second. Because, he's pretty good at like directing the camera with the choreography. He kind of has a very distinct style, which I won't take away from him. I think it is fun in The Kingsman. It's like, okay, fast forward to, okay, I got a little bit of that. Oh, there's a dumb twist with some sort of like music box. Okay, this is stupid. Fast forward. So I don't think I could recommend this. Maybe it'd be a good airplane movie. It's kind of long. It could last through like maybe like half of a flight across country.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Possibly. I don't know. I'm not watching it. I have no interest in seeing.
But Chris, what you've been doing this week, I'm glad you brought to the table.
Yes.
Because I've been wanting to know about this. I keep hearing people talk about it, and I feel like it's been too long, and I'm like too embarrassed to ask what it is now. Yeah. So now you can tell me what it is.
Yes. So I purchased Helldivers 2 for actually my PC and PlayStation 5, even though it is crossplay. I thought it had cross progression. It does not. So I ended up with 2 copies. It's fine though, because this is a great game. Helldivers 2 is a sequel to Helldivers 1, which I don't think anyone ever heard of, but when Helldivers 2 came out a month ago, maybe a month and a half ago, it just took the video game world by storm. Like a very unexpected kind of hit, and what has been cool about it is it's $40, Mike. It's not a full price game. When you play, you get credits towards the battle pass, and the battle pass is free. Like there's two paid tiers, but I've gotten enough credits in the game that you actually can find premium credits on the ground in the levels as well to get the free or to get the paid stuff if you wanted to. It is mind blowing how they've done this game through and through. But the way it works is you are a military person from Super Earth, and you've been sent out to the galaxy, these planets, to liberate them from either the automatons or the terminids. Automatons are essentially Terminators. If you want to shoot massive waves of Terminators, you go fight the automatons. If you want to do Starship Troopers, where you're killing bugs, you go fight the Terminids, Mike. And it's really fun to like liberate, because you land on a planet, you'll have some missions to do. Like, oh, maybe you'll have to destroy the automaton supply depots, or you're exterminating bug nests or something like that. Like you have missions to do before you can extract, and you can play by yourself, but it's way better with friends. I've got 2 friends we've been playing it with. One of the interesting facts of this, there are 2 things that I think take a little bit of learning. One, there's friendly fire. Grenades, bullets, anything, you can kill your teammates very quickly calling in like a bombing run. If you call in a bombing run, you can blow up your teammate if you don't tell them where it is along the way. So friendly fire is a very interesting thing. And then the other one is it takes a page out of Battlefield 2, which is one of my favorite PC games. When you reload, you lose the whole clip, Mike. So like it's not like, oh, you just have 100 bullets, you spend 2, you reload, you have 98 bullets. You have that clip and that's it. Like, and you have to like maintain your ammo very efficiently throughout this game. So I wouldn't say it's realism, because obviously it's not realism, but it's really fun to have that. And the personality of the game is you're coming from Super Earth, and when you do the training, you're like, oh, we're going to make you the biggest badass and the galaxy's ever seen. So it's got like that big, again, Starship Trooper ego mentality like in it, and which is really fun. Like, we're doing this for Super Earth, I'm doing my part. And it's been really fun. Like it's been fun to play with people and to have different setups and different guns. You unlock guns. There's no PvP, so you're not actually fighting other players. All the humans are working together in this. And from my understanding is the game. So today we liberated 3 planets from the robots, and because everyone contributes to the actual planet's liberation. Everyone who's playing. We liberated those. We get a bunch of free points, which is great. And then they have this person who's essentially a game master running the game. Like, all right, next up, we're going to be fighting the bugs on these planets, and this is what you have to do to get the extra credits, and then be successful in this region. And they set a time limit on it. If you fail, you don't get the credits. You get pushed back, and bugs take more planets, so on and so forth. So it's really like a nice ebb and flow of military tactics in space, which I think is cool. So.
Yeah, I kept hearing people compare this to like, oh, this is like Starship Troopers, the game, and I saw a couple of clips where like, I guess are the bugs kind of comparable visually to some of the bugs in Starship Troopers?
Yeah, like they're very bright colors. There's a big bomby one, and then they have different styles, different abilities. So absolutely, they look very much like some of the stuff out of Starship Troopers.
Yeah, it is kind of crazy. Like you brought up the fact that this is called like Helldivers 2. I feel like this is a thing that happens only in video games with media. Like not often is there like a movie comes out, no one has really ever heard of it, and then the sequel comes out, and then like, oh, everyone's on top of it. It's almost usually the opposite. Oh, well, the sequel wasn't as good as the first one. But this is kind of funny. Yeah, I have no idea what Helldivers 1 is. I couldn't even tell you what consoles it was, how old it is, or anything like that.
I think it's like a 2019 game, maybe 2018, 2019. And this is made by PlayStation Studios, so that's why it's on PlayStation. And
yeah, it kind of makes you wonder what made the second one pop off. Was it like creative marketing? Did they just place it just right between like like a lull in releases, and it was like just enough to kind of get the Twitch streamers to get it going?
Well, that price point, I know a lot of people who play this game because, like, again, it's $40. Like a $40 game is very digestible in a world of $70 games. And then also like there is in-game currency, but you don't need to buy battle pass. Like you don't have to buy anything. You can just play and unlock stuff, and it's great. Like and it's really cooperative. You don't have a lot of PvE games like where it's like you're fighting AI enemies together. A lot of games like Fortnite or Call of Duty, like you're shooting other people all the time. So this is really, I think, just a different genre that happened to be at the right price point at the right time, and just have enough of a the game's always evolving. They're introducing new enemy types. They're introducing new guns and vehicles for the humans. Like it's just a quickly evolving game, and I think that's how games need to be sometimes. I was playing Halo last night with my brother-in-law, and it's Halo Infinite's been out for 2 years. Feels like the same Halo 2 years ago. Like where's the updates, like adding new adding new guns or vehicles in there? They have it in 2 years, and this game has done dozens of different updates in a matter of 2 months, give or take. So absolutely love it. It works great on my Steam Deck. It works great on PlayStation 5. I would recommend it. Again, it's not a solo game. There's no story. You're playing in a live universe. So, we had issues with software as a service live action games, but I don't think this one's going anywhere anywhere anytime soon. I think it'll be pretty good for a while, but
Cool.
I absolutely love it. Can't recommend it enough. And the other thing I watched last night, it's not in here, Mike. We both went to Purdue University, who is now in the final basketball game for college. What's it called?
Yeah, this is really funny, especially for two guys that self-admittedly not really into sports.
No
I've had a
sports
lot
ball.
of family and friends like text me like, "Oh, Purdue's in the Elite Eight. They're going to the final. Are they going to the final?
They've already
four?"
beat the Final Four. They're in the last two. One of the last two teams last night.
Oh, okay.
So-
Yeah, and I'm just like, I don't know how to respond.
Uh-huh.
So I just keep saying, "Good for them."
Yeah, that's great numbers. Those are good numbers. Lower numbers are better.
Yeah, it would have been more impactful for us if we were still students on that campus, because then the parties would have been really
Oh
fun.
yeah. Like apparently it was wild last night. This is the second time since Purdue's existed that they've gone to the final game in the tournament. I think the other one was like 1969. They said 55 years ago. So
Yeah,
that's great, great for them.
Yeah, boiler up, everybody out there.
Exactly. Yeah, I actually have them on winning the tournament in my work bracket. That I had to put one in for. So I'm pretty excited that I got this far just by kind of guessing Purdue the whole way through. So go team. All right. We are 20 minutes into this, probably too close to 25 minutes into this. Let's jump into our news. Disney, this week there was a big shareholder meeting, voting system going on. But the current board of directors, I believe, has won the attempted takeover by other bad investors. And this has been labeled as the most expensive corporate proxy fight in the world. And you might be saying, Chris, what the hell does this even mean? It literally means that there are people out there, I think his name is Nelson Peltz, and Ike Perlmutter, who we've before has talked how bad he was for Marvel.
Yes,
forever.
we bemoan him on here.
The guy who tried to fire Kevin Feige after, Guardians and Captain America.
The guy who also said, "Why does a Black Panther movie have to have only black people in it?" Like what are you saying? Like, Ike Perlmutter, what are you saying? Shut up, go away.
And then Nelson Peltz doubled down on it. He's like, "Why do we have to have the Marvels movie that's only women?" Well, obviously there's not only women in these movies, but the Captain Marvel and Black Panther both made over $1 billion at the box office. So that's not really the right argument to make here. So obviously they were trying to get a bunch of investors to, say, put us on the board, we'll get your money back. But obviously Bob Iger's been making a lot of good directions, and you're not going to see wins immediately, but they have been making course corrections, right? And we've got some of those course corrections in the episode notes below. So they are retained, so everyone over there is safe. We're not having bigots and millionaires with no creative industry experience before at the helm of
this should be good news overall, especially since Iger has been trying to kind of rework. He had like a terminology that I forgot what he called it, of like, oh, I'm reinvigorating or renewing, or basically he's saying I'm fixing everything. You got to give me like a year so I can fix it. I can't just turn this ship around the second I come back. I was telling Chris something interesting that I learned from some articles that I was reading about this potential takeover is, I guess most kind of publicly traded companies, you'll find maybe only about 15% of the shares are just held by individuals. And I think they call those people retail investors. I'm not 100% sure on the terminology. So like if you go to like a CVS or something like the stock of CVS, like maybe only about like 15% is just like held by individuals. Like they log into like a trading portal. They're like, let me buy one share of CVS, please. Something like that. And that's kind of typical. Well, for Disney, since they're such an iconic brand and well-known, 40% of the stock is just owned by individual investors. So when something like this kind of like when one of these like takeovers is attempting to happen, like the person trying to force themselves on the board, like Perlmutter or Peltz, they can't just like go to like different like mutual funds and these big corporations and appeal to them, be like, oh, we know you own a bunch of Disney stock, we're trying to get in there, you should let us in. they have to somehow mount a campaign where they reach out to these 40% of just individuals and like,
and then
how do you even do that?
Yeah.
Like how do you get like their contact information? How do you get their email address? How do you appeal to like a longtime Disney fan that like, oh, hello, I would like to hostily put myself on the board of this company that you bluff.
Well, and then also along the way, again, news articles that we were not the first person to talk about this. News articles have been covering these people and their bad faith comments for the past several weeks. So obviously, if anyone got anything, did the research and they're like, oh well, obviously this person doesn't know what they're talking about. You would find this in the news articles other than us. So absolutely wild. But in this investment meeting or whatever it was called as well, there's also first looks at a Mufasa movie, Moana 2, Toy Story 5 was given a release date of I believe 2026. Moana live action was given a release date. Nothing we would talk about normally in the show, so I didn't put them in here. But they were putting focus on franchises that have been successful yet again to let people know we are focusing on quality. We are going back to the things that people know and trust, and we'll be making your money back over the next few years.
Yeah, it's like a band going out on tour and then reassuring the fans, don't worry, we're playing the hits on this one. Yeah. We're not gonna like put the new album in front of you, which
depends on the band, but yes,
could be a bit of a drag if we are not getting, because we always want to strive for original stuff in some context in any creative medium, right? So maybe this will at least put Disney back on the board, and then they can use some of that investment to go back and make some new stuff.
Right, yeah. It's how companies work, they ebb and flow, and obviously a lot of those things they announced were not for us. They're announced for the main audience, kids and people with kids, Mike, so which will be you here in a few months when you have to take your child to see Moana live action, or the third live action movie.
I'm looking forward to the Moana sequel.
I am too, yeah.
I'm not so sure about the live action one, but we'll see.
Well, the Moana sequel, the only reason I'm on the fence about Moana 2 this year is because it was a TV show re-edited to a movie, so I'm like, how coherent can this be?
How much is getting polished up? How much is it new?
You were making this for TV, and then you're switching within a year. So, but anyway, I'm not here to knock on it. It's fine. So this is great. This is great news. So if you don't have to talk about that before, we are in the clear. Moving on to Disney Plus, we talked about this at the top show. There are now 3 DCEU movies on Disney Plus, including Wonder Woman, Shazam, and Shazam: Fury of the Gods. So I guess 2 out of 3 aren't bad at the end of the day. Wonder Woman and Shazam feel pretty good on this.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't hate Fury of the Gods. That I felt like got some unintended ire from DC fans.
I'm more level-headed, Mike, than us. I don't like Fury of the Gods, but these feel like movies that would be on Disney, right? Like Wonder Woman, Shazam, Fury, feel like Disney movies, like you'd watch on a streaming service around everything else. Like, I don't want Batman v Superman. We're not getting Snyder movies on Disney Plus, right? So
yeah, it's kind of a weird feeling. It's like watching like a cartoon and like Sonic the Hedgehog is like talking to Mickey Mouse or something, just 2 totally different brands like mixing. I guess this seems like Disney Plus attempt to say like, hey, we are not just the home for redistributing Disney stuff. We want to be like a streaming service, a hub where like maybe you consider rolling off of Netflix and rolling on to us because we got other stuff too.
And this also shows, Warner Brothers will literally license their content to anybody, right? Like anyone who will pay us will take the money at this point. So, but and again, like I said, this is the 3rd time these shows line up with what I would expect on a Disney own streaming service, not just Disney Plus. Like, yep, these are perfectly fine for these things. I'm really surprised Wonder Woman 84 is not on there. Maybe I know it's not our favorite movie. I know it's not great, but I'm just surprised they didn't put both of them on there to have all 4 movies across the board. But I'm not complaining. I'm not watching any of these on there, but I thought it was funny, and I think that's good. And then hopefully we will see more content move into more places, Mike, along the way. Let's get into some Fantastic Four news. This was great. This was a great week for Fantastic Four, and I'm very excited to talk about some of this. So, first and foremost, newest casting announcement: actress Julia Garner, who was known for her role in Ozark, will will be the Silver Surfer in this movie, Mike. And I know you're over there. I hear you clutching your pearls. How can a woman be the Silver Surfer? And we've talked about Anya Taylor-Joy being in the running for this, and it kind of lines up.
This was like a rumor like a little while back. So we've kind of been primed that they kind of might go outside the box. But I see here in the show notes you have something interesting here that this might not be the Silver Surfer that we are super familiar with, but somebody close to the source.
Yes, so
material.
She has been confirmed to be the character Shalla-Bal. Shalla-Bal is the first love of Norrin Radd, who is the Silver Surfer that we all know historically. So in a comic book series called Earth X, she actually becomes the Silver Surfer and is a herald of Franklin Richards, who becomes Galactus in that one. So she has been the Silver Surfer before. Mike, you know how we talked about the spin-offs for the 90s cartoons, like doing reboots of them?
Mm-hmm.
She was actually in Silver Surfer, the 1998 show as well.
Oh,
so,
cool.
We don't know. Again, people in the MCU, they will borrow names from comic book characters and then not be what they are in the comic book, but she will be Silver Surfer in this book or in this movie, and she has historically been in there before. So that brings me into the very point that we're going to make here, is that we have a new, on April 4th, we got a new image from the Fantastic Four for Marvel showing a Human Torch flying over a city, making the four, right?
I'm going to be pedantic here, Chris. I'm going to get into the weeds here because we talk about these themed days all the time and how like Batman has like 20 days in a calendar year. That's his holiday. How exactly is 4/4 Fantastic Four Day? I get it. There's some fours in the date. That can't be all that it takes.
So
last I checked, it's Fantastic Four,
yeah.
not Fantastic 44, not Fantastic 8. So we're adding two numbers.
Well,
I mean,
you're looking too far into this. Has never been celebrated before. This was just to put up a piece of promo art for us. Like, this is not a Fantastic Four Day that's ever been historically ever done.
Until 4/4 rolls around next calendar year and they want another marketing day.
That's fine, as long as it's something from the movie. Maybe the trailer drops next year at that time. I don't know. But they have leaned into the same art style that we got back on Valentine's Day, right? And we get to see the Human Torch lit up as on fire, which we didn't get in the other one. So we get to see that. He also is creating the four out of his flames, which are lingering somehow. I don't know how this works, but if you look closely, boy, does that look like the Jetsons city below it.
Yes, zoom enhanced. We got a retro future skyline in this poster.
Exactly. So there's nothing to take out of the Human Torch. Yeah, he's on fire and he's got his suit on. Perfect. But that city, if this is artwork that they're inspiring this on, that is not what the 1960s look like. That's not what now looks like. So is this, again, not to beat the drum again, another universe where the 60s were the peak and they became essentially Tomorrowland, or that retro futuristic thing keeps advancing, and that's where the movie's set, leaning into Shalla-Bal being that alternate universe Silver Surfer that she has been before in the Earth X comic books.
Yeah, I mean, that makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, why go out of your way to kind of render this futuristic city in the background? I mean, I'm sure somebody could look at this and go like, oh, it's just promo art, this is just supposed to be hyping you up. But we've had previous art where the characters and the actors are being rendered as what they're supposed to look like in the movie. So, and if you zoom, actually the version that they put out on like Twitter is a pretty high quality version. So you can like zoom and enhance on the Human Torch, and it is supposed to be the likeness of the actor. And so if we were to take this at face value, we are going to see the Human Torch flying around in a city that looks like that. And
it's stamped on their Marvel Studios, the Fantastic Four, right? Like, it is stamped on there. It's not like, oh, we made a Fantastic Four image from a comic book. It's Marvel Studios on there. So absolutely, I think they are, leaning that teasiness a little bit with it, if you will, with this, and that leans into that literally since the Julia Garner announcement was the day before. That helps lean credence into, hey, we're gonna have Silver Surfer. This isn't the Silver Surfer, yet, but we're gonna leave that door open for later down the road.
Yeah. I mean, I've been thinking about this alternate universe stuff for a couple of years now, right? And I keep imagining a scenario where these universes start to collide, or they start merging, or somebody gets trapped, or they get lost and they can never go back to their dimension. Maybe it was wiped out by some sort of like cosmic force, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm imagining like just like an individual character, like that is like extremely like traumatizing, right? To never be able to go back home, to be in a totally kind of, for lack of a better term, alien world. It's not your own, and then you kind of have to like reestablish roots and like just learn to live in it. And like imagining an individual character, it's just very dark. Like even in like the last part 2 of the Spider-Verse, we've seen some of these characters like get thrown around, and it's just like, oh yeah, like I can't imagine Miles trying to start a new life without his parents. Like, that's really deep and intense. But if all of the Fantastic Four kind of, as like scientists, they're all grown up, they're all adults, they're a team, I could see them getting plucked out of their universe and being dropped into the mainline MCU. And it's just like, oh, and I could see like Reed like looking at his computer monitors like, oh, we're stuck here now, we better dig in, this is our home, we better get used to it. I think that's kind of an interesting concept.
Or even, again, if it's Secret Wars, at the end of it, they're on Battle World, which is a mixture of all the Earths, and then they're like, well, the only way to fix this is to make one merged Earth, so we're all gonna have to just suck it up and deal with it, kind of thing. I think that's a good way, because at the end of the Marvels, we had what was her name, Spectrum, right, went to the other universe where there's a big talking blue beast. Obviously that's going to be a little shock for her. And then Doctor Strange had a lot of that stuff as well. But absolutely, the other part, to help with your idea here, if they are, as a team / family, get ripped out and put somewhere else, the rumor that Franklin Richards, the first child of Sue and Reed Richards, will be in the film, or at least born during the movie's timeline. So if the whole family, including the kids, go, it's probably a lot easier at the end of the day, right? To adjust. So very, very excited for this. Fantastic Four is getting me pretty hyped, Mike. I love the unique take on, again, the artwork, the design, the messaging, the logo. Everything just feels different. It doesn't feel like they're just going through the motions. It feels like there's fun and energy behind it at the end of the day.
It feels like there's a creative direction.
Yeah, exactly. And Matt Shackman, who is directing this, he worked on WandaVision. WandaVision had a good direction, right? We knew what it was doing, and every episode had a really good vibe. So very, very excited for this. You can check out that image in our show notes. Now, this is leaning into this multiversal just a little bit more, Mike. We have fresh off the presses, literally a shirt press, a Hot Topic Deadpool shirt showing off 4 other variants, Mike, taken a photo at Hot Topic. And it says, we are Deadpool, including dog pool, head pool, baby pool, and kid pool in this image. So we've seen dog pool before. Head pool is the Marvel Zombies variant of it, which looks, I don't know if it'll be animated or live action or what, but that'll be interesting to see. And then kid pool and baby pool as well. So this is wild to kind of get confirmation from a Hot Topic Deadpool shirt.
Yeah, I can only assume Kid Pool is going to be swearing a lot, because little kids love to swear. So I'm anticipating that.
I think it'll be the kid from the Adam Project who was like the young Ryan Reynolds.
Oh yeah, maybe. Yeah.
So he's got that down pat pretty good.
Yeah, it makes me think. I'm starting to get the idea that maybe all of these X-Men cameos that we have been hearing about and anticipating and seeing some set photos, maybe those are kind of short-lived, and maybe the variants of Deadpool are kind of more of the thread that goes through the movie. But who knows? I don't know. Maybe it's both.
Yeah, if they're hiding this and showing that, that's great. That's going to be fun. Again, we've seen shirts with stuff that don't come to fruition either, so I'm not banking all my money on this, other than the fact that we've seen Dogpool, who looks exactly like that from Ryan Reynolds. But I'm very much looking forward to this movie as well, and all the secrets and fun things it'll hold. But if there are multiple variants of Deadpool, probably in the void, and probably have been culled from their universes for being Deadpool, right? So very, very excited to kind of see how these kind of play out at the end of the day. I think Ryan Reynolds is going to voice almost all the characters except probably Kidpool and Lady Deadpool along the way. I think he'll be every other Deadpool. So We'll find that out in July when the movie comes out in theaters. All right, we got a bunch of stuff to look at for Deadpool, Daredevil, Born Again, Mike. We got a bunch of things to look at here, including the first look at Jon Bernthal on set with Charlie Cox. So we get to see them filming. We get to see Charlie Cox in his red Daredevil outfit. We get to see Bernthal in his Punisher outfit. Looks very much like the one from Netflix, right? With the spray painted on skull there. It looks like they've been they're a little worse for wear at the end of the day here. So
yeah, it's weird looking at like all of these set photos, right? Because I feel like you could just easily convince somebody like, oh yeah, this is just back when they were filming for Netflix, right? You know, like nothing looks categorically really different or out of the ordinary, except everyone's a little bit older.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't. It's cool
that's a
gang's
compliment.
getting back together.
That's a compliment. The fact that they're making it so seamless, if you will, and that kind of ties into the next photo, which is a official photo release where Jon Bernthal's in his Punisher outfit with the people playing the police in the movie. He looked even worse in this photo than he did the one before in terms of like the mud or the blood makeup across him throughout. Very, very serious. And then we go into the next photo with one of the actors. It's a police officer wearing the Punisher logo, which we have heard that the Punisher is against corrupt police using his logo for vengeance rather than justice in the police system. So they're doing a lot with this stuff. I'm excited to see the Punisher return in that regard. The other news from today is we have an official photo from filming of Daredevil Born Again with actress Ayelet Zurer. I'm probably pronouncing it. She's returning as Vanessa Fisk from the Netflix series. They rumored that they were recasting her, but they've brought her back from that show, and they show her here with Vincent D'Onofrio on set filming. So they're just really bringing those people forward for the show.
Yeah, I'm really curious. I think filming is finishing or
done.
Wrapping
Actually,
up.
That's the last bullet point here. Filming for the first 9 episodes has completed right at this time. So they're not going to film all 18 and then hope it works. I think they're doing 9, going to take a look at it, make sure everything's good, work on those, and then do the back 9, which makes me think the release schedule is not going to be all 18 in a row either, Mike.
Like are they gonna do kind of like the Netflix approach, which actually might have been now outlawed by the latest writer strike? I'm not 100% sure if they put in protections of where you get more seasons out of a show by calling it part 1 and part 2, because you get to renegotiate after 3 seasons. So it's like, well, if we split your seasons in half, we can technically get like 6 kind of mini seasons out of your 3 seasons. So yeah, I wonder if they'll do that, or if they'll, I know Invincible season 2 just kind of released their second part, and they had like a bit of a gap. So we'll see what their release strategy.
I think even if they don't, since they already announced 18, they would fall under whatever those contracts were to begin with. But retooling this has really done a lot of different things, for this, again, good faith, connecting it more to the Netflix stuff, obviously bringing back a lot of the legacy characters. But, knowing that if they're filming the first 9 and then like, okay, we're going to at least make sure it's working, that gives me pretty good confidence, right? We don't want them to do all 18 and be like, well, hope we can fix it, because that was the old approach to Marvel TV. And, if we end up with something like Secret Invasion again at the end of the day. So there's also a photo release. I don't have it in here, but it has Charlie Cox, Jon Bernthal, and the lady who played Deborah, what's her name?
Oh, Karen Page, yes. Yeah, Deborah Ann Wall. So, yeah, they had them together on there. Wasn't anything new, but, like, just showing, hey, it gives me, I wouldn't say nostalgia, but really good vibes, remembering whenever they were doing the Netflix show. We weren't doing this podcast yet, even when that first came out. How exciting that was to watch those and see the people get together and let them get together 10 years later, right after filming those to make some more. I believe the first season came out in 2015. So we were doing the show, actually. We were just brand new. But Daredevil, the rumor is next spring on the 10-year anniversary of Daredevil
season 1 on Netflix. They're going to put it on Disney Plus, which I think would be a really cool nod to that, right? To have that back, but we'll see at the end of the day. Later this year, so we're gonna shift gears into still Disney Plus, but Star Wars: The Acolyte is coming in June, and we have a set photo of Daphne Keene. Her character, I don't know how to pronounce it, sorry, but it's Jackie Lawn, and her Jedi on set here. She played X-23 in Logan, the actress did. So we see her Padawan, got her Padawan braid, her Jedi clothes on, a green lightsaber, on some sort of planet. I thought this was cool looking to see kind of how, we always see the same, I guess, fauna, flora and fauna on like Star Wars planets. So I'm interested to see this. This looks like an interesting planet to me. The red dirt, the trees. Hopefully it looks pretty good. It's not a volume. How about that, Mike? That's a plus, right?
I mean, it looks like the volume, so I don't know. Maybe once it's in motion, it'll be a little.
It's weird how much space is in the shot. To be completely honest, like how much like they just like there's not like a zoom in. It's like just a wide shot of a person standing here. But there's another one with a bunch of lightsabers released. I know you like looking at the lightsabers, but I don't like looking at these lightsabers, Mike, because they look like light sticks that are just glowing rather than like actual lightsabers. So I don't care for that too much. But we'll get more into the Acolyte when it comes out in June. Hopefully we get more. And this was, I put this in here early on, but the real big reveal this week was Star Wars Tales of the Empire trailer dropped. And I don't remember, did you watch Star Wars Tales of the Jedi last year when it came out on Disney Plus?
I remember it coming out and I saw recaps of it. Never got around to watching it yet. But it's getting kind of hard to keep track of some of these animated Star Wars offshoots, right? The Bad Batch, which I think also they had a season come out on May the 4th last year. So this seems to be a popular animation release date. Yeah.
I don't know if it came out last year because the new one just started. I don't know if it would have been that long ago, but like this new one ends on May the 4th. But yeah, so Tales of the Empire is essentially another 6-part episode or a 6-part little thing. 3 episodes focusing on character Morgan Elsbeth, and the other 3 focusing on Barriss Offee. Morgan Elsbeth was introduced in the Mandalorian and Ahsoka shows. She is essentially the person who goes to find Thrawn, who's like obsessed with finding Thrawn in Ahsoka, and was in she fought Ahsoka in the Mandalorian season 2. So she did not make it out of Ahsoka, so they're going to be kind of focused on 3 episodes, usually 3 parts of life, early, middle, older, but she's a Dathomir witch, so it's going to be interesting to see that. Barriss Offee is from the Clone Wars, and she was a Padawan, and she did this. She blew something up or killed somebody. I think it was like a bombing, and then she had Ahsoka blamed for this, and then that's when she left the Jedi Order because she became disillusioned. Like they didn't believe her, like she wasn't killing someone. So we get to see her, as a Padawan. We get to see her, in jail. And then obviously it shows a lot of when she becomes an Inquisitor. Later in the series, the Darth Vader's Jedi hunters, if you will. You focus on quite a lot of those in Fallen Order and some other stuff, but it's all in the same Clone Wars animation style, right, of this stuff. So if you're familiar with that, or if you watch that, this is essentially just another plug-in for the Clone Wars, because we're never going to get a Clone Wars another season because they ended that up. They wrapped it up pretty good, and I enjoy the show. I think these characters, focusing on these little characters, are really cool. We get to see a couple things in the poster. They had General Grievous, right? We haven't seen him. We don't even see a lot of him, so get to see that. Some of the other Inquisitors that we saw in the Ahsoka show, Tales of the Jedi, and then another one who was actually in the Ahsoka show. We get to see their backgrounds in this. I like the Clone Wars, so I mean, for me, this is just more of the same, right? More goodies, more three-part stories on a character that are very focused, and then get out of the way. I was worried that they were going to do more Tales of the Jedi season 2, but to see them focus on like quote unquote villains, if you will, or like antagonist, is an interesting approach for this. But Star Wars is we're good, and we're going to keep moving on to the next Star Wars topic with Star Wars: Dawn of the Jedi. That's the movie that is set 25,000 years before the events of the main movie. So the first Jedi and Sith, and Bo Willimon, who wrote 3 episodes of Andor, including the episode One Way Out, which was, I believe, the when they're making the parts and they have to escape episode. He was a showrunner in House of Cards. Will write the script for this. So it's a pretty good grab. I mean, I think if, showing what he did with Andor, especially those 3 episodes there, I think that's pretty good.
Yeah. We will cross our fingers and hope going back in time is beneficial for everyone.
Yeah. It's so they have no release dates for this. I mean, we're going to talk about the next one, but they have no release dates for Dawn of the Jedi. Yeah, but we did get an updated release date for the Mandalorian and Grogu at the Disney conference or whatever it was earlier this week. Has been moved, or at least confirmed, to be May 22nd, 2026. And it's the first May Star Wars film since Solo, but that also suffered from, what was it? It would have been the last Jedi had been in December right before it, and like 5 months later was that. So there's a bunch of other things with Solo. So, but it's interesting that they're going to May with this one for that release at the end of the day. Now, I've also heard on this note, Mike, that season 4, that they haven't, again, counted out a season yet. Now, I think they probably would at this point, right? Like, they're not going to wait 3 years between seasons, a season of a movie, and then do another season at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
I think this will be it, right? Like, this is the last one of this before they dive into Filoni's movie.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like once Filoni's movie is done, it kind of seems like they're going to sunset the Clone Wars as a whole. I mean, for mostly better than worse, they've really explored that whole era of Star Wars, and it kind of seems like Filoni is the one that really fleshed out to begin with. He's going to get a whole feature film. I feel like you end that era with that movie, and then move on to other parts of Star Wars after that.
Yeah, it seems like their push is was episode 10 or whatever it is, the next film with the Rey film. So moving forward down the line. I know they had the Dawn of the Jedi, but Dawn of the Jedi can be a one-off and not have to carry over anything. So we'll see how that carries out. Shifting gear into DC for a little bit, Superman rumor is out there that the movie will feature a Superman doppelganger as the villain, and it's possibly a clone of Superman based on the character Ultraman from DC comic books. I thought Ultraman was somebody else than a DC character. I thought it was like one of those Japanese robot fighting dudes.
Yeah, isn't that an anime?
Yeah, it's not actually. So there's apparently Superman of Earth 3 is Ultraman, and he uses kryptonite to get stronger is his ability. So like he will like expose himself to different kryptonites to get more powers at the end of the day. And that the rumor is that also this will continually be played by David Cornsweet. Rather than casting someone else to play as this doppelganger, they will just reuse him twice. And that he will be created by Lex Luthor, who is more science-based in this universe than real estate focused as the Superman of old, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the biggest takeaway I have from this news is, of course, kind of a topic that reappears on our show. It's seemingly every week of just like James Gunn, just put your phone down, stop responding to everybody. He kind of had a bigger post the other day where he was just like, he's like, I don't understand where all these rumors are coming from. They pop up, new ones pop up every day, and I try to get in front of them and tell you what is or isn't real. So just to reiterate again, unless you're hearing it directly from me, these are all rumors. And it's like, at what point is he not realizing he is the one that's like spinning up these rumor mills? It seems like people are now just trying to invent things in hopes that James Gunn engages with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because even if it's not real, you're still getting traction, and there's like no journalistic integrity when it comes to like superhero movies on the internet. There's totally just going to be people that make up fake stuff just so they can like be seen by Gunn. I don't understand. Like, I don't need him on the internet, like trying to debunk this stuff. Like, does he really think that rumors like flying around are gonna like make or break his movie? Is he just worried people are going to get false expectations based on a rumor? Like, he just needs to like just put the phone down and just put your head down and just get back to work. You're just driving yourself crazy with social media.
So yeah, it's funny you mention that because there's two things. One, he shared that like they're 18% done with filming, which is a very specific number. For filming.
Very odd,
very weird. And then he also said that to this rumor, hey, we are not using Ultraman in this movie. He didn't say they're not doing a clone. They didn't say that this wasn't real. He just said we're not using Ultraman. So the only reason I included that in because it has not been completely debunked in this universe yet. So we're gonna see how this plays out. But I wouldn't mind this at the end of the day if I was honest. So
yeah, the concept as a whole like sounds cool. I mean. Superman has been explored quite a few times in the movie, so to try like a new type of one, no one's mad at Gunn. Nobody is mad. Like we know the movie's not done yet. Like just chill.
All these will be forgotten in 2 weeks, and then when we see a trailer, no one will remember that we even said this a year ago, right? So
yeah.
So don't worry about it. Let people have their online arguments and conversations because all they want to do is argue.
Looking out for your mental health, man. That's all.
Yeah. But I think a scientific Lex Luthor is something we've not had before, and I think that'd be awesome. So that's my take on that. Moving on to Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, the movie has hired Craig Gillespie, writer of Cruella and I, Tonya, to direct the film. Or no, director of those. He didn't write it. He directed Cruella and I, Tonya to direct this movie. It's written by Anna Nogueira, who is also writing Teen Titans as well, or a treatment for Teen Titans at DCU. The only reason I put this in here is the fact they've hired a director for this movie and not some of the others means this is going to probably be hot on the heels of Superman, right? Like they don't even have I think they have a theorized director for Batman, the Brave and the Bold, but the fact that this has already been written and has a director, I think it'll be Superman, and Supergirl will probably be in that movie at some point along the way.
Yeah, should we just spin up a fake rumor about Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow? See if we can get James Gunn to respond to it.
What's a good one for this one?
I heard Spider-Man's going to be in it. Yeah, from a reliable source. Yep, they're crossing the universe. Warner Brothers getting coffee with Marvel. Yeah, Spider-Man's going to be in it. It's pretty wild.
Make it more realistic because Marvel has no say in that. That's Sony, and they don't make it.
Yeah, I truly want to see how far Gunn will go to debunk something.
Yeah. We could say this is set in the Cruella universe. How about that? Because of the
okay, movie. That's fun.
Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, we've got that confirmation. The other confirmation we have last week is that the Joker 2 trailer is set for 4/9, and I kind of referred to this earlier. I'm like, why are they telling us a week ahead of time that we're gonna get a trailer? Like, just drop the trailer, right? Like, is that not what we should just be doing at the end of the day?
Gets them a little extra buzz. This is motivation to not, like we were saying, don't stare at the eclipse, because if you go blind, you're not going to be able to watch the first trailer for Joker 2.
Right, and to see that it is in fact a musical or not, right? Like that's going to be the fun part here. I've got a poster as well. The poster is probably I'm going to put it in the notes here because I didn't put it in there earlier. Is interesting because it's boring. It's a very boring poster. It's called the Joker, Folie à Deux. The world is a stage is now in there as well. I think that's the tagline. And the interesting part about this movie that has been rated R for strong violence, some sexuality, and full nudity, Mike. So if you're wanting to catch some Joker dong in this movie, you've got your hopes up right here.
Who's hanging? What are they hanging, and for how many frames? Yeah, we'll grab the screenshots and tune back in later this year.
That's right. We're gonna get the cam version. We'll be the first people with the cam version to get that. But I mean, like I said, looking at this poster, it's like the light shining through like what prison or like the psychiatric ward cells on them. But like I get nothing out of this, and I don't know if that's just me or what. So. Not very enticing to look at. In surprising news here, The Matrix has a new movie in the works, announced with Drew Goddard to write and direct. Of was it Cabin in the Woods fame. I know he did some Daredevil season 1 stuff attached to that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, this is kind of interesting, right? Because the last Matrix movie was kind of a middle finger to Warner Brothers. If I remember the story correctly, they were like, "Oh, we're gonna make it with or without you. So if you kind of like don't want us to strangle your child, maybe you should be in charge." So they kind of came back and made this whole meta commentary about, doing a reboot sequel type thing right in the story. And the movie was actually pretty good. I remember liking it. I haven't gone back and watched it, but it didn't really feel like a sequel, a continuation of The Matrix. It just kind of felt like a commentary on Hollywood, which was just kind of weird. So, I mean, I don't hate the idea of returning to the world, maybe especially if we get a different creative lens on it. I see here that you have in the notes that Wachowski is returning to executive produce, but was that just a name only? How much are they going to be involved? Are they just going to make sure they don't do any like cardinal sins with the story? And as long as it passed that test, they can do whatever they want.
Yeah. So the Wachowski siblings did the first 3 movies. Lily Wachowski did not come back for the last one, the one you just talked about, Resurrections. Lana Wachowski did direct it, so they are returning as the EP here. So I think, yes, it's more of a, hey, I'm here to guide you in this world without, running it into the ground. But even if it is a reboot, the idea of the Matrix is that it reboots itself, right? Like it rewrites itself. The world redoes itself, and the machines make it new every time. So if they want to do a new one, perfectly fine with me. Drew Goddard had been in the talks to top running to direct Spider-Man 4, so that makes me think that he's out of that if he's signed up for this movie as well along the way.
Yeah, maybe. I think it would be kind of cool to see the story go in a progressive direction, right? I feel like there was I'm not like a Matrix like super fan, right? But like they were supposed to be liberating humanity from the machines. So it would be, let's push that forward. What does it look like? Okay, now that the humans are finally kind of like separated from the tyranny of these robots, how do they make it back to the surface? How do they kind of clear the skies back up? I'm sure there'll be some like rogue machines that maybe are running like some like separate code. Maybe they're not as organized, so that's kind of like the new adversary.
And I would also I think give humans a choice, and some people will just want to stay in the Matrix, right? Because machines can't run without the human batteries.
Maybe there's like some cultists that we should stay, and they have to stop the humans.
Yeah, because like at the end of the day, if you want to move it forward, you need to have conflict from every side, right? In that regard, so people who we want to stay here. This is great. It's like the guy in the first one. What was his name? I forget. He's a guy.
Smith?
No. The one who turned over Neo to Agent Smith, like the location, and he was like,
I
want to be plugged back in because I miss this. I hate the real world. Eating bland, boring stuff every day. He wants to eat the steak. So, I think there's opportunity there. I mean, the Matrix. As long as we're not doing a direct reboot, like a scene for scene reboot, I think it's fine. I think it's gonna be great. It'll be fun to revisit this franchise after all the time, because I still think that first one holds up so well after all this time. So absolutely fantastic, and Drew Goddard is a good guy to do that, so knock on wood. All right, so last bit of the thing here, this is an X-Men show. I don't know what else you guys are coming here for. We only talk about X-Men 97 24/7. But this week was interesting because I want to talk about this because it's full spoilers ahead. If you've not seen episode 4 of X-Men 97, go watch it, come back. But this new one was called Motendo / Life Death Part 1, which is interestingly a 2-part episode in the fact that it showed 2 different episodes within its running time. And one of those is a 2-part episode in and of itself. So very interesting structure here, but I can't complain because it was like 2 opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of storytelling, right? The first one is Jubilee's 18th birthday, and they want to play video games at the arcade. Magneto won't let them, so they get sucked into their Super Nintendo run by Mojo. I loved the 16-bit animation they threw into this, Mike, at certain times.
Yeah. Whenever they cut away to what the arcade game would look like, I was like, oh, this is really fun. This is exciting. This episode felt the most like a Saturday morning cartoon episode to me. or like they're appealing directly to the child in me with the video game aspects, but the story feels like it's maybe, I don't want to say less important, but since we didn't really get a conclusion really of any of the story arcs, well, maybe Jubilee's a little bit. That kind of came full circle.
That and what's his name? The kid, Sunspot. You know, at least welcoming his powers a little bit, right? You know, he's warming up to using his powers was the point of it, but it wasn't like the stakes weren't very heavy at the end of the day, right? We knew everybody was going to get out of the Nintendo game at the end of the episode, right? I had no doubt everyone was going to live through this at the end of the day.
Mojo looked really wild, you know, like we keep reporting, and every week our partners are really enjoying the show, but they don't really have any nostalgia for the previous version of the show back in the day. So my wife is just like, who the hell is this ugly dude?
Yeah.
like, and he shows up like on Ozempic at the beginning of the episode.
He's like so skinny, and I'm looking, I'm like, oh, maybe this is Mojo's redesign, and I'm like, oh, I understand why. By the end of the episode, when he gets the likes and the views, and that makes him fatten up right there at the end. So
yeah, he's so creepy looking, like especially with this kind of slightly updated animation style where they can like really kind of bring those like details and like line work in. It's like, yeah, this dude is freaking creepy. I don't like looking at him.
Oh yeah, and he's a returning character from the original X-Men '94 show, so you know, no stranger to a couple episodes there. But the idea is that he's in a universe where he is feeds on people's entertainment, right? If they're watching the show, he feeds from it, becomes strong. I enjoyed the Super Nintendo aspect. Someone was having a good time writing this short episode and then also visualizing it, right? Because I have a lot of X-Men fighting games that are side scrollers for like Sega or like Mutant Academy or just the X-Men games or like the X-Men arcade game, right? The side scrolling, you know, ones like Nintendo. Like I have so much nostalgia just playing those games. This was great to look at. Like I was like, oh, there I am. We're back having a good time at the end of the day. And then it was also cool, and I don't know how you feel, but like, you know, Jubilee learning from her future self what other powers or what more she can do with her fireworks other than just blast fireworks at people's faces.
That was cool. I mean, the continuity and the story and the timeline of the episode was a little harder for me to follow because at the end it's revealed that like the older Jubilee is like actually like a digital clone, I guess, is kind of how they were.
This is very similar to the Matrix. Yeah, like so Mojo to beta test this game created a AI version of Jubilee, and this is the one who lived the longest and got away in the AI. So
yeah, I felt like they maybe could have like streamlined some of that in some way, but still, it was really, really cool to kind of see her using all of her advanced versions of her techniques to kind of see what does like a mature seasoned Jubilee look like, which we've yet to really see. I don't know if they've explored Jubilee in more length in like the comic books of her character getting older, but we've kind of known her perpetually as like a teen from the mall. Yeah. So that is really fun to explore and see. And there's some cool, great, slick animation in that fight scene. They're like chopping Mojo's like legs off and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Cool stuff. I love when Sunspot uses his powers and it has like the crackling black dots from the solar, like the Kirby dots in motion. Just looks so cool. Like I can't get over that. So absolutely love that. And then the second part was the episode Life Death, which obviously we talked about this very early on in the first episode. Storm is not losing her powers forever, right? It was kind of a red herring, if you will. And then at the end of last episode, she meets Forge, and then Forge, is trying to help get her powers back. Come to find out he made the bullet that took her powers away at the end of the day.
Yeah, well, I don't think he literally made.
He helped the humans accidentally, but he didn't know he was going to use the bullet like that. But yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, and he can't. How can you stay mad at Forge? He's got the shortiest shorts I've ever seen. He's got the mustache. He's got it all going on. I really like his mutant. Yeah, I really like his mutant power because it is very adaptable and useful. Whereas, like, you're looking at someone like Scott Summers, he has to solve every problem in his life with his laser beams.
Yeah,
like
he's got to wear sunglasses. Once he forgets his sunglasses, he's done. He can't go anywhere.
Yeah, he's got no other solution except blast it with his eyes. That's the only way he can fix stuff. Forge can come at it from any angle. He can invent anything. He can make anything. Like, yeah, he might. I'm sure he's trained in combat. I feel like every kind of
He
mutant
makes
is
a lot
trained
of weapons
combat
in
at
the
some point.
comic books. He makes a lot of
Yeah.
weapons. Yeah.
Yeah, but like he makes the most sense for Storm to go see. I don't know if historically these two characters align in a romantic way, but it makes sense for them to kind of get together. He's
Yeah.
there to help her. You know, there's a connection there.
And oh, go ahead.
Like,
No.
I'm curious. I'm curious what like this vision, this demon owl is supposed to be. You know, is it like a projection from another mutant? Is it just all in her
It's
mind? Is like a vision quest? I'm not really sure
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, to me, it seemed like a character called the Shadow King, who was the villain of like Legion, a mutant who feeds on, or is essentially just a nightmare kind of mutant. Like, it takes over people's minds and like controls them that way. So I think it's Shadow King if I was to pick a mutant out of a lineup offhand, because I think he was also teased in some of the character models when they did this at San Diego Comic-Con a few years ago. But right, this is a part one of this. It kind of leaves that mystery, like, who is this? What's happening? You know, did she get her powers back because she was riding that horse into the rain, and then, you know, she appeared back at the house and it was raining? So I don't think Storm's powers are gone for good. Again, I think that's a red herring, but, you know, it's going to be an interesting journey to get there. Not an easy one, if you will, where they just, you know, drink a little cough syrup and she has Storm powers back at the end of the day. I enjoyed it. I mean, it was a very, again, low key episode, if you will, like that part of it, like compared to like the high energy, high action stakes of Motendo. This was very much like a very slow kind of burn, if you will, right now. So I'm excited to see the second half of it. And I love Forge too. Forge is one of my favorite characters. Lately in the comic books, the X-Men era, for the past several years, they were on an island called Krakoa, which is actually mutant in and of itself, the island is. And he was creating weapons and technology using the island as the basis. So it wasn't technologically based, it was organic based weapons and technology, which was really cool. So I'm excited to see more of this. You know, we're at 4 episodes in of a 10 episode season, and you know, I don't feel like there's maybe, like, other than Storm's powers coming back, I don't feel like there's a big bad right now. Do you, at the end of the day?
Yeah, Magneto alluded at the beginning of the episode, oh, we got to prepare in case, you know, Mr. Sinister returns. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, nothing seems to be more just like, is Magneto going to be able to kind of uphold his end of the social contract, you know?
And what I also like about this episode, and this is nothing against, last week's was very much the Madeline Pryor Goblin Queen. How do we deal with the clone of Jean Grey? As a Saturday morning cartoon, you don't deal with those ramifications in the next episode. You just jump into the next sequence of events. I appreciate that about this show. They imagine you're watching them on Saturday morning, and you're like, I don't need to think about last week's. What's this week's episode going to be about? So I did appreciate that, kind of jump into it. But I'm sure we'll get the repercussions of Jean Grey later. Someone also sent me an intro screenshot. The introduction changed it where Jean Grey no longer has her hair down. She has it in a ponytail after the revelation that it was Madeline Pryor last week in the intro.
Yeah, I thought that was clever. I saw that as well.
So absolutely loving that. But yeah, more X-Men 97 is more happiness in my life. That's what I'm thinking here. So can't wait to see more episodes of what that has going for it. Mike, that's the end of the episode this week. If people want to know what you're up to, what you're doing, where can they find you at, my friend?
Yeah, they can find my webcomics at liferewardsrisk.com and pickledcomics.com. Chris, if people want to catch up with you, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram, Valdan87, VALDAN, or not Instagram, or video games of the same name. If people want to know more about a show where they can listen to us every week or watch our video clips where they can like and subscribe, where can they find all them goodies at?
Oh, all you got to do is visit superheroslate.com. That is the best place to find all the avenues we host our show and to get our awesome show notes. So if you want to see all the things that we talked about this week, we got a nice itemized list over there at superheroslate.com. We're on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, wherever else you love to listen to fine podcasts. We love hearing from you. Let us know what you think about Fantastic Four news this week. Do you also think James Gunn should put the phone down and stop worrying about all these crazy people out there with the rumors?
Or send us a better rumor, because, you know, if we can bait them, we'll take it.
Yeah, we'll see what we can do. And we love our super fans. So if you want to be a super fan of this show, all you got to do is share the show with a friend, share the show with a buddy, and we will be here next week, folks.